in the actual building, it was like we were all family.
Well, I miss it. It was a great place to live. Really enjoyed knowing everybody in the building.
The fight is over for former tenants of Berkeley Tower. The building stands at the foot of Davie Street in Vancouver's West End. It was bought a few years back. Shortly after, the new owners informed residents that their tenancy would end to allow for major building-wide renovations. A course of action tenants had hoped to reverse. And now just walking by, it's abundantly obvious at first glance that the former tenants at Berkeley Tower are now out, and work is well underway. In September of 2018, we spoke with Andre Duchesne, a 6-year Berkeley Tower resident and local lawyer who's done some work in tenancy law. He's since relocated and says Berkeley Tower was a special place.
It meant the end of a community, really. I mean, it was people who had lived there for 20, 30, even 40 years. And it meant losing their neighbors who had basically become family. And it meant that, what was once a big collection of people who knew each other and cared about each other meant that they were displaced and spread out, and that they don't have those supports anymore.
And we just couldn't afford to live in Vancouver, so we had to move out of Vancouver entirely, actually. So now we actually live on the island.
Catherine Lau lived with her family in the building since 2004. She says having so many residents commit to the community for so long gave the building a sort of magic you might expect to find in a sitcom like Seinfeld or Friends.
Oh yeah, like sometimes I remember one time I was making some sort of dinner and I needed 3 ovens and I only had one. So I literally said, first floor, hey, William, can I go here? Robert, can I go to use your oven? And they were like, what are you making? I said, I am making some sort of turkey, and then I'm going to make vegetables in here. And they can't, I need the entire oven, not just an apartment size.
But not all stories are so fun. Lau describes how renoviction impacted a third-floor resident named Rod. He'd been there since 1978 and found himself being forced to move into a new home while battling cancer.
He couldn't even move in because he was admitted to the hospital, and he was in there for a week. Then he went back for 3 days, got admitted again, and then he went back in August to the home, stayed there for a week, was committed again the 3rd time, and they started cancer treatments on him, but he passed away in September. So he never even got to move to his new home. He was just worried that he was going to be homeless.
Duchesne says while the process was difficult, he does believe it was conducted legally.
I do think the law is pretty broken with respect to renovictions, and I think it's ripe for abuse. I'm not saying that's what happened here, but I do think that needs to be revisited.
It is definitely whenever a 4-month notice is issued or renoviction notice is issued, it is difficult, I think, for both parties to figure out whether or not it's going to be valid at the end of the day if a tenant challenges it. The way to get rid of to solve all those problems is simply to amend the right of first refusal so that landlords have to issue or allow the tenants back into their tenancies at the rent they were originally paying, potentially with some kind of minimum increase.
Those who used to live in Berkeley Tower have been negotiating individual agreements with the landlord for resettlement. In Vancouver, David Zura, City News.